You know, in Nigeria right now, one name that keeps stirring conversations both online and offline is Simon Ekpa. Whether you like him or not, you can't deny that his name carries a lot of attention. And today, everyone is talking about one major thing that Simon Ekpa has reportedly listed his conditions before he can even consider negotiating with the Nigerian government. Now, that's a big statement, because for someone like Ekpa, who has been vocal about his views for a long time, to start talking about negotiation at all, it means something is shifting somewhere. And Nigerians are reacting in different ways. Some say it's long overdue, others say it's just another strategy. But one thing is clear, people are listening. Before we go deeper, please, if you're watching right now and you love getting real-time Nigerian updates explained clearly, do me a quick favor, hit the like button and subscribe. That's the best way you can support this channel so we can keep bringing you verified stories like this one. So, let's unpack this gist carefully. Simon Ekpa, as you know, has been one of the most talked about figures connected to the agitation for the freedom of the Southeast region. Over the past few years, he's been known for his strong words, online influence, and unfiltered comments about the Nigerian government. He's been in Finland, but his voice has continued to echo strongly back home. Now, the new twist is this talk about conditions for negotiation. That phrase alone is making headlines everywhere because it suggests that, for the first time, there's a possibility of dialogue. It means someone who has always stood firmly in opposition is now setting the stage for a conversation. So what could these conditions be? Well, from what's circulating in discussions and commentary, Simon Ekpa reportedly wants assurances, things like protection for the people he represents, the release or fair treatment of those detained, and probably recognition of what he describes as the political and social challenges of the Southeast. Now, let's be real. Those kinds of conditions are not small. They touch directly on the heart of Nigeria's unity conversation. And it's not just about politics, it's about emotions, justice, and years of pain that people in that region have expressed. But here's the interesting part. Nigerians are now asking, will the government even listen? Because the federal government, as we all know, has been very firm on issues of national security. Their position has always been, there's one Nigeria, and any activity seen as threatening that unity will be handled through legal and security measures. So for Ekpa to come forward with conditions, it opens a tricky but interesting doorway. Some analysts are calling it a small window for peace. Others are calling it a political test. But whichever way you see it, it's a conversation Nigeria might need, one that many people have waited years for. And at the same time, there's emotion in this gist, because you can feel that the people in the Southeast are tired of living under constant tension. They want peace, development, and opportunities like everyone else. Some say if negotiation is what it takes, then maybe it's time to talk. Now, please, if you're watching and you've been following this story, pause for 1 second. What do you think? Should the government talk to Simon Ekpa? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And while you're at it, click that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep this conversation going. Let's continue. You see, one reason this story is shaking social media is because, for years, Ekpa has been seen as someone who doesn't compromise. His words are often firm and passionate. So when people heard that he was now open to negotiation, even with conditions, many started saying, maybe something has changed. Maybe the reality on the ground is different now. Some people even think this could be the beginning of a new phase, a stage where dialogue replaces confrontation. But of course, others remain skeptical. They believe Ekpa is just trying to stay relevant, especially now that international attention has turned toward him after his court issues abroad. But that's politics. Everyone reads the situation differently. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. A few sources close to the matter are suggesting that these conditions might not just be personal. They might represent a wider call for reform, things like fair governance, infrastructure in the Southeast, and true inclusion in national decisions. If that's true, then this is more than just Simon Ekpa talking. It could be a signal that people in the region are ready to have a seat at the table, but they want to do it on fair terms. And that's something worth paying attention to. Let's also not forget, in Nigeria, negotiation is not a new thing. We've seen similar discussions in the past with other groups, both political and social. Sometimes they lead to peace, sometimes they don't. But the conversation itself is always important. So, what happens next? That's the big question everyone is asking. Will the government ignore it, respond quietly, or take a public stance? No one knows yet. But the mere fact that Ekpa mentioned conditions for negotiation means the ball is now in both courts. Now let's pause again. What's your take? Do you think the government should respond publicly, or should they handle this matter privately through dialogue channels? Tell me in the comments. And again, if you haven't liked the video yet, please do. Let's get this story trending so more people can understand what's really happening. So after this whole story of Simon Ekpa reportedly listing his conditions to negotiate with the Nigerian government came out, social media started buzzing. You know, Nigerians, once a story like this hits the internet, everybody becomes an analyst. You open X, you open Facebook, you open TikTok, people are debating it everywhere. Some are saying, at least he's ready to talk, and that's a good thing. Others are saying, we've heard this before. It's all words, no action. But either way, one thing is clear, this news has caught the attention of the nation again. Now, let's take a moment to think deeply. Why would Simon Ekpa suddenly start talking about negotiation? Is it pressure? Is it strategy? Or maybe it's a genuine desire to resolve issues peacefully? Everyone is asking those same questions. Some close followers of his activities believe it might be a smart political move because, let's be honest, once you start talking about negotiation, it changes how people see you. Instead of just being a critic, you become part of the conversation. And in politics, being part of the conversation is powerful. It gives you influence. Others, though, believe this could be a signal of maturity, that after seeing how the situation has affected ordinary people back home, maybe Ekpa wants to open the door to a new approach. Now, whichever angle you choose to believe, the truth is that this development has given people hope. Because whether you agree with Ekpa's ideology or not, the idea of talking instead of fighting always feels like progress. And by the way, if you've been following this gist closely and you're enjoying how we're breaking it down clearly and simply, please pause for a second, click the like button and subscribe. That helps a lot. Let's keep building this community where news is explained in a way everyone can understand. Now, back to the matter. People in the southeast, especially in states like Enugu, Imo, and Anambra, are reacting differently. Some see this talk about negotiation as a possible path toward peace, maybe a chance for life to return to normal, for businesses to thrive again, and for schools to function without fear. You can almost feel that small spark of hope when you listen to people talk about it. But there's also that fear that this might just be another moment that ends with no real change. Many say they've seen this kind of talk before, where things start with promise but end with disappointment. So there's excitement mixed with caution. Meanwhile, the federal government has not made any official statement about this new development. But if you follow patterns, you'll notice that the government usually watches things like this quietly before reacting. They study the situation, listen to the tone of the public, and then decide what to say. Now, there's another layer to this gist that people are not talking about enough. Negotiation doesn't just mean two sides meeting and talking. It involves trust. And right now, there's a huge trust gap between the government and many people in the southeast. So for any negotiation to work, rebuilding that trust will be key. Imagine if both sides could sit down and talk openly, no fear, no threats, no accusations. Imagine if both parties actually agreed on certain steps to reduce tension, promote development, and listen to grievances. That would be a major breakthrough for the country. But we know it's easier said than done. Nigeria is a complex place, and every decision has political and emotional weight. Still, if you ask me, I'll say that dialogue, even if it starts small, is better than silence, because silence leaves room for misunderstanding. Talking opens the door for solutions. Now, as the story continues to spread, international observers are also paying attention. The fact that Simon Ekpa lives abroad makes this story even more global. Whatever he says doesn't just stay in Nigeria, it echoes internationally. So if this negotiation talk becomes serious, you can expect reactions from both foreign media and governments that monitor African political movements. And here's something emotional that a lot of people feel but don't always say out loud. Many ordinary Nigerians, especially young people, are tired. Tired of fear, tired of crisis, tired of division. They just want to live, work, and grow in peace. So when they hear the word negotiation, they hold on to that small hope that maybe, just maybe, this time could be different. Now, let's talk a bit about the reactions online. You see comments like, if they can talk and stop the tension, I support it. I just hope this won't end like other promises. Nigeria needs peace, and everyone must contribute to it. Those kinds of reactions show that Nigerians are ready for change, real change, not just words. And again, if you're still watching right now, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. That's how we keep growing and staying connected. Every like helps push this story out to more people who need clear information without confusion. Now let's go deeper. Imagine if the government actually accepted the idea of negotiation and responded to Ekpa's conditions. What would that look like? Probably it would begin with a series of quiet meetings, private discussions between representatives. Then gradually you might start seeing statements about peace, reconciliation, and new commitments to address development issues in the southeast. That could change the entire tone of national conversation. Instead of arguments and fear, we could be talking about rebuilding, investment, and unity. That's why this story matters. It's not just about politics, it's about the everyday lives of Nigerians who are affected by these tensions. Now, whether Ekpa truly means it or not, time will tell. But this move listing conditions has already shifted the conversation from confrontation to communication, and that's something. All right, before we go on, I want to know from you, do you think the government should even consider these conditions, or should they insist that everything must go through the normal legal process first? Drop your opinion below, because your comment helps others see different perspectives. And if you haven't yet, please hit that like button and subscribe so you'll always be the first to get updates like this, explained clearly and calmly.